really mean to represent women around the world? How do you find the strength to rebuild after setbacks that leave you starting over? And how can embracing imperfection be the key to personal and professional success? Today, we're going to touch on all of these topics with Katrina Kimble, a longtime Dress for Success advocate, supporter, volunteer, and global ambassador. Welcome to a new episode of More Than the Dress, the official podcast of Dress for Success. I'm your host, Michele Meyer-Shipp. Thank you for joining us. Before we start, I'd like to ask you to like, follow, and subscribe to More Than the Dress, and please feel free to leave a review if you've been enjoying these conversations. Additionally, you can go to dressforsuccess.org to learn more about our organization, as well as our March campaign, Women Who Inspire. This is Dress for Success's biggest campaign of the year, in which we celebrate 31 remarkable women from our global footprint through Women's History Month and International Women's Day. And please don't forget to follow us at Dress for Success to stay updated on all of the happenings. So without further ado, let's get to the conversation with Katrina. So Katrina, I am so happy to have you join us today on our More Than the Dress podcast. I'm really excited to get into this conversation, so thank you for being here.
It is my pleasure, and I'm just super excited to spend this time with you all.
Excellent, excellent. So let's start here. You're a global ambassador for Dress for Success, and I'm really curious to hear from you what it means for you to be a Dress for Success global ambassador.
Wow. First of all, I am still blown away because out of all the women in the world and out of all of the affiliates that I got selected, for me, it's several things. First of all, it's an honor to represent Dress for Success and be able to share my story and hopefully to inspire other women. But also for me personally and my family to know that I am able to go out and experience something that most women will never experience. You know, I grew up in a small rural town, and just the thought of being able to go on a global stage and share my story is nothing I ever would have thought I had an opportunity to do. And then the third level for me is my own community in Memphis, Tennessee, because I hear so many things that are negative about my city, but to be able to go out and say, no, I'm a product of Memphis. I'm a product of this city. I'm a product of Dress for Success. And if you change your mindset and you get a group of women around you, you can change the trajectory of your career. So for me, it's so many things.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. So to that end, how do you see your role as an ambassador in giving power to other women?
For me, it's about three main things. One, elevating the voice of women in the community. You have a voice. It's your story. Use your voice to tell your story. Also, to empower and equip women to make the changes that they want to see and give back to our community. We do that through networking and connecting with other women and moving sometimes beyond your circle. I learned from this experience with being part of Dress for Success is sometimes what's for you is in the room for you. Sometimes we won't go through a door because we can't take everybody with us, but what you need is in that room. And I just try to encourage women to listen to your inner voice, be willing to step out and encourage yourself that I can have better. I deserve better. And it's okay if I want better. I don't need people's permission to live my life. I can have better if I choose to have better.
That's awesome. I love that. That's great. Thank you for that. Let me ask you a quick fun fact question. What has been one of your most meaningful moments or experiences as a global ambassador for Dress for Success?
Oh, I can answer that real easy. When I had the wonderful opportunity to come to New York last September and participate in the Women Who Inspire luncheon, just being in that room was such a joy and a blessing. But then to get the opportunity to speak at the luncheon, that for me and for my family, because they got to see the video, even now it brings me to tears to know that I I got to experience something that most people will never get to have. And that's the joy that I got to do that.
Yeah.
And to know that for this time, this short and precious life that I have on this earth, I got to experience that. And I get to share that story with other women. So for me, that's been the greatest highlight of this whole journey.
That's awesome. And you were amazing. You really were amazing. So thank you for doing it. Thank you for sharing your story, because it really is through us sharing stories with each other
Yeah.
that we can support each other, learn from each other, grow from each other. And I can see how that touches you in a really warm spot in your heart. So thank you again. I really am just so honored that we were able to have you in that space. Thank you so much. So, obviously, to get to the point wherein, we reached out to you to be a global ambassador, you've had a long-standing connection to Dress for Success. So I want to just go back a little bit in time and ask if you can tell us a little bit about your first experience for Dress for Success. What brought you to us? What was that experience like? Tell us a little bit about that.
So I've been connected with Dress for Success since the early 1990s. Actually, I moved to Memphis from my hometown. Unfortunately, I went through an ugly divorce. And so I was coming to Memphis looking for a fresh start. And I was going for interviews, and I was interviewing well, but I didn't have the appropriate attire. And I was grateful enough that there was a woman in the room that said, "Hey, I want to connect you with this organization." She said, "I believe you can do this job." She said, "It's just your presence, the way you present yourself." And so the first thing I did was I went and got suited. I learned how to dress appropriately for my size. I'm a plus size woman. And so having someone to say, "This would look good on you. You should wear this." And then they actually walked me through the interview process and showed me how to make clear, concise responses and to feel more confident in my skin. And what they gave me beyond self-confidence was self-awareness, so that I could learn how to read the room and understand that you are qualified when you walk through the door. It's just up to you to sell yourself to the people in the room. And so I started volunteering for Dress for Success, got involved with the professional women's group, and I thought I was all set to go. And then 2008, the housing market crashed. I was working in human resources. Nobody was hiring anybody in human resources because everybody was laying people off and downsizing. And unfortunately, I lost my home, my retirement. I lost my car. And I found myself in mid-career starting over again. Again, I went back to Dress for Success, and the women there taught me the importance of understanding how to brand yourself, and taught me how to take what I've always done in human resources and training and being a speaker, and how to repackage it and go out and find opportunities for myself. And I will always be grateful for Dress for Success, because they are so, so much more than suits.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing that, and thank you for being just very open about your story and your journey, because I think it is meaningful. I mean, it's like you said, beyond getting the clothing. It sounds like you were given a huge network of support, skills building, job readiness, etc. So I'm really, really glad to hear that, and I'm glad it worked well for you. And now look at you, global ambassador, helping bring others along. So thank you for that. I really appreciate that. So you have a phrase, "Be well, not perfect." And we've heard you say this a few times. Can you tell our listeners what it means for you when you say the phrase, "Be well, not perfect"?
Yes. That phrase saved me. I call that my personal motto. I started saying it back in 2008 when I lost everything. Um, as a woman in a career, you kind of find your identity in your job title. And I had to shift my mind and shift my perspective of how I saw myself. And I started telling myself every day, I just want to be well. I don't have to do it perfect. Whether I went out and interviewed for a job, did I do it well? Did I take care of my family today? Did I do it well? I may not be the perfect mom, but did I do it to the best of my ability? Did I serve well when I went and came to Dress for Success and would volunteer? You know, did I have a good attitude? Did I do it well? Did I service the women well that I was volunteering with? And so for me, be well, not perfect is really more of an affirmation of how I want to live my life. I want to do whatever I do well. I want to do it to the best of my skills, talents, and abilities. I may not do it perfect. I may not do it the way you would do it. But as long as when I go home at night and lay my head down and I know, you know what, Katrina, you did it well. You did it with the best intentions. And so that's what that means.
I love that. I love that. You know, you just reminded me, I was at a women's conference a couple of months ago, and there was a whole workshop on abandoning perfectionism. And the coach, it was an executive coach that spoke, and she talked about how in this drive for perfectionism, there is this undue stress and burden that we put on ourselves that creates so much angst that it almost just puts a huge barrier in our way of being even doing well at all.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So it's really neat to see that you come to this and that this is the way you navigate your day to day.
I had to because I found for me there was a term, and they still use it today. It's called work-life balance. I've never really embraced that term. For me, it's more about work-life boundaries. You know, what's in my capacity for today? And the boundary is not for other people. The boundaries is to keep me in line. You know, if someone comes to me, I already know what's on my schedule for today. I'm real quick to tell people I don't have the capacity to do that. I don't have Superwoman syndrome. I blew up the mast and burned up the cake years ago. I'm so glad the rest of the world is catching up with me. But you only have the capacity to do so much. And capacity is not just about energy, but it's about the mental capacity, your physical energy, the mindset, you know. And I had to really do a lot of work around this because I'm also a caregiver for my mom. I work full time. I volunteer and I take care of my family and we take care of my 93-year-old mother who has Alzheimer's. And it really comes down to what are my work-life boundaries?
Yes. Yes.
And how can I present myself in the best version of myself when I'm in the community or when I'm with my family or even when I'm with my children? You know, am I bringing my best version of myself into that? And so that's my heart and my passion. I wish every woman would find whatever that motto is that would kind of guide them. I kind of call it my living compass. It kind of guides me, and I know when I'm getting off kilter.
No, that's awesome. It's really, really thoughtful. And, you know, I actually really love the way that you look at the work-life boundaries, not balance. I think that's a really good, smart mindset to have. And I wonder, let me ask you this. So with that work-life boundaries, do you think about the boundaries in all aspects of life? So work, personal, et cetera, because I know as a mom of 3 young adult sons, you know, wanting to be everywhere, do everything, I constantly am challenged with that too. It's like, okay, no, I can't do this, or yeah, you know, really setting those clear boundaries. Is that how you use that mantra?
Absolutely. I use it in every area of my life because we're holistic beings. We're body, mind, soul, and spirit. So in everything, I have 2 adult sons and I have 2 grandsons. Both of my grandsons play basketball and football. And they be like, Nana, can you come to this game? No, Nana going to sleep. Nope. Nana just spoke at a conference, or Nana just worked 10-hour shift. And so and really we have to teach our families, and my sons are very well trained, and they know on Fridays don't call me because they know I don't go anywhere on Friday nights. That's my reset time. And so yes, that's my compass, and I use it in every relationship, even work relationship, my personal relationship with my friends, you know, because I hear this other motto, you know, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Yes.
Well, first of all, we're not supposed to pour from a cup anyway. You're supposed to pour from your overflow. The cup filling of the cup is for you. The overflow is for other people. So if your cup is just barely full, then stay home and continue to fill your cup and prepare yourself so that when you go out and engage with the world, you're engaging at your whole full self. Then when you have the overflow, that's what you take out and give to others.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
The cup is for you. The overflow is for the other people.
I'm hearing a theme of intentional self-care, which I love, and that's something I want to make sure our listeners take away from this. You know, you've had some great achievements, you've made some great professional strides, you've been able to give back to the community, you're supporting your family, you're caring for your mom. But I want to make sure people heard that one loud and clear, right? Work-life boundaries, navigating self-care, because it really is important, especially, you know, with all the things that we navigate in our lives. So thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that. The next thing I want to talk about a little bit is our Women Who Inspire campaign. So as you know, and hopefully our listeners are experiencing, the month of March, Women's History Month, we have International Women's Day. At Dress for Success, we honor every day of the month.
Yes.
Amazing woman who has come through our network and transformed her lives. And Katrina, you were an honoree for us last year.
Yes.
And now you're on the selection committee for the honorees this year. What does this mean to you? How did this experience go for you? Tell us about that.
First of all, I think this is the hardest job I've ever had, being on the selection committee, because every woman's story was so unique and powerful. It was very challenging to narrow it down. But I believe we've selected women that have very diverse stories and that will speak loudly to our community and those that support us and those that will come along and to support us. For me, being a part of Women Who Inspire, it opened my heart to want to do more. It opened my heart to understand that we still have areas we haven't tapped in. We have partnerships we haven't connected. And also there are women out there that still don't know we exist. There are women out there that need us that don't even know we're here.
Yep.
So for me, Women Who Inspire, it really lit a fire in my heart to want to go out and do more. You know, in any space I'm in, I try to bring, someone was teasing me the other day. They said, do you ever take off your Dress for Success button? I'm like, no. Dress for Success I was like, it's in my DNA. Wherever I go, I take them with me. I was at a medical conference and talking about something else. I said, oh, by the way, as I wrap up, let me tell you about Women's History Month and the Women Who Inspire campaign. And everyone started laughing. And I'm like, when I think about what I went through and what other things that could have happened to me if I didn't have the Dress for Success Memphis, and if I didn't have the women that poured into me through PWG, I don't want anybody to experience that. And so for me, Women Who Inspire, it's my duty, it's my assignment, it's my calling, it's my purpose to serve the women in my community that don't know that we're here.
Yeah.
So for me, that's what it means.
I'm so glad. And we are so grateful to have you as an ambassador, and everything you just described is what ambassadorship is all about. So I just want to thank you for being an ambassador. Thank you for sharing your story of perseverance, resilience, tenacity, and accomplishment. And I really hope that our listeners for this podcast walk away with some very meaningful tidbits that they can use in their daily lives. So Katrina, thank you for being with us today. This was a great discussion. So happy to have you.
Well, thank you so much. And you guys are not going to get rid of me, even though my ambassadorship is wrapping up. I will still be serving.
Oh, yes, you will. You're not going anywhere.
You guys got me for life. I challenge every person, find one thing you can commit to for at least a year. Find something. And so this has been my thing. So I'm so grateful. And thank you guys for this opportunity. I hope I've said something that will support someone on their journey to being whole and being well.
I think you definitely did. And just a note to file here. So once you're an ambassador, you become an ambassador alum. So an alum is always engaged. So just know you're here for good, okay?
Absolutely. I look forward to it. Thank you guys so much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you.